Today, I want to try building using a really weird color palette. Now, what classifies as a weird color palette? Well, I think I've got some blocks here that are pretty weird. Some of the blocks include deep slate lapis, melons, and a wet sponge. Now, I think the first thing I want to do here is get rid of some of these trees. Also, I did spawn in a pretty rare biome, which I think is kind of cool. Okay, so I've got a nice little area cleared out here that I can put my building in. And now I'm just gonna start off by just building an outline of the house, just so I know what I'm working with here. Alright, and I think the outline I've got here looks pretty good. So now I'm just gonna build these walls up a little bit, and then I'll do the texturing later. I think that's a good height. Actually, I'm gonna do 1 block shorter. Actually, I'm gonna do a couple more blocks shorter. This bit here is just going to be a base platform the house is gonna land. I'm gonna do like a staircase up, I think. So yeah. And here's where I'm gonna start to tie in some of the deep slate lapis. Okay, now I've added this little trim around the side, and that's kind of why this lapis is here. I'm gonna transition this to a more blue color, starting with this blue glazed terracotta. And blue glazed terracotta on its own doesn't look great. Does not look great, but it's gonna blend nicely. Just trust me. Yeah, this is not great on its own, but I'm gonna add a little bit more of this on the bottom just to give that worn out look. And you know, I'm not adding too much of it, just like here and there, a couple patches. And then the blue glazed terracotta, honestly, is not gonna be very prominent. It's gonna be mostly this blue wool and eventually blue concrete powder. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of pretty striking compared to the rest of it. I might have to tone it down a little bit. Okay, I replaced it with lapis blocks, and I think that's a lot nicer on the eyes, so I think I'm gonna go with that instead. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take these out and just add more on the bottom part. I think this is just too clashing. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And I'll come back and detail this later, but right now I think I want to get the roof in because it has a lot weirder color palette. So I'm just going to start by covering up this whole thing with moss. I think that's a good way to start this off. It's going to get dark inside, but just bear with me. And I had this really weird idea to make it feel more natural, where I like bring it out like this, like a mushroom almost. And I'm obviously gonna go back and change the coloring on this later. I just want to get the shape down. This tree's in my way. Get out of my way. Okay, so I've got that general shape down. Now what I want to do is I want to go in and make the underside bits kind of feel a lot darker. Gonna add in a lot of this moss. And there we go. But this will look, it'll look a lot different once the next few layers are in, I think. Because obviously I'm not just gonna do this as one layer. I'm gonna go in a little bit and do that same thing again. And layer 2 is in. And I'm also gonna add more detail to this top part. I'm also just doing the basic coloring and stuff right now. Building with wet sponges is so weird. And the top layer is now in, and now it's time to start detailing this. I do like how that mushroom effect kind of played out. It feels like it's kind of like straw thrown upon there too, like, I don't know. Like one of the old houses with straw on them. I don't know what they're called. This might just be the weirdest house I've ever built in this video game. It's definitely not the weirdest thing I've built though. I've built some weird things that aren't houses. You know, I think that coral should be able to survive if it's on top of a wet sponge. I think that's bad game design. Although, I must admit, these kind of look better dead up here anyway, for the sake of the build. See, I think I've done a great job with this roof, actually. I think this roof looks really good. I'm a big fan of that roof. So now I just need to get this part detailed. Shouldn't be too hard. Okay, I've added this little rim around with the spruce slabs and spruce trapdoors, and I think that definitely add some depth to that and gives this roof a little bit of weight too. And I almost forgot that this place needs a way to get in from the front. Oops. So in order to do that, I'm gonna have to get rid of this little front ledge there. And I can just add a staircase. That should be fine, honestly. In fact, what I can even do here is I can keep this bit and run it along maybe to about here. And then I can bring it over to here. And we can add a little ledge out of polished diorite slabs, which leads into a staircase. And there we go. I think that's a nice little way up there. It's just a little bit of a flimsy deck thing. Although, thinking about it, I should probably make it a little safer. You can just walk right off. I think what I can do to fix that is I actually just get rid of this whole carpet thing I have. Just at this part. And then I can bring up the fence and add the fence gate going across. And yeah, I think this little railway I have here looks pretty nice just for the style I'm going for. And I can even add like a little bit of smooth quartz in the middle here, just as a bit of texture. Just makes it seem a little bit more worn down. And now I get to add some windows. And we're gonna give it kind of a lot of windows. Just because this place, you want to feel, when you're inside, you want to feel with nature. I mean, I guess you're with nature if you're inside anyway, because there's no interior yet. Now, normally I would inset this door like this, to make it on the inside, but because it's like on top of this block here, it kind of looks weird. So I think I'm gonna have the door just out like that. I usually wouldn't do that. It feels weird, but I gotta do it this time, I think. Now, I've started decorating using these decorated pots, and I think this actually looks pretty cool. Like, this looks like a little border, because these go through. So this looks like it's wrapped around this as a post, which I think looks pretty nice. So I think I'll just continue this design around. And there we go, I've repeated that design around the sides here, even the back. The back doesn't look as great as the front on this build. It looks a little flat, but you're mostly going to be looking at it from this way, and I think it looks good from this way. And I really love that gradient on the roof. It looks so nice. And just as a bit of a finishing touch, I'm going to add some lichen around the edge of this roof thing, just to tie it in a bit more, make it feel like it blends into the ceiling, roof, whatever. And there you have it. This, I think, is a pretty cool looking build. I really like how this came out. I never would have thought I'd make a build that had, like, melons and wet sponge and lapis blocks all work, but, I mean, I did. I mean, yeah, I definitely do think this is a weird color palette. This is not a normal color palette. And yet, here we are. But if you know anything about this channel, you know we don't do interiors. Nope, never. Who would want to even walk in here? Nope, I would never do an interior. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, share, well, all of that. I don't know. Wet sponge. I have a wet sponge. I'll give you a wet sponge if you subscribe. Subscribe, please. Bye-bye. There's your wet sponge.